Hello, and welcome to Communicate to Lead, the podcast that empowers leaders and aspiring leaders to communicate with clarity and impact. I'm Keely Belton, CEO and successful entrepreneur, and your host for today. I'm here to equip you with all the essential tools and strategies to master effective communication and lead your team to success. As the founder and CEO of The Tailored Approach, my goal is to empower you to be the best leader you can be. So sit back, relax, and join me in today's episode as we dive into the art of communicating like a true leader. Have you ever felt like life was happening to you instead of for you? Like you were watching through a window as your dreams passed by, always just out of reach? That feeling of being stuck in the passenger seat of your own life. It's frustrating, isn't it? Welcome back to Communicate to Lead in 2025. I'm your host, Keely Belton, and today we're diving into something that transformed my life, and I believe it can transform yours too. But before we get into the how, I want to share a story that might feel familiar to you. Picture this, it's 2007, and I'm sitting in my apartment, surrounded by empty Weibo's teacups and open browser tabs. I'm 29, and on paper, everything looks fine. Good job, decent apartment, healthy relationships, but inside, I feel lost. I was enjoying managing my team, and I loved my work, but I wasn't completely satisfied with my life. I constantly felt like something was missing. I was really good at what I did, and I knew what my team needed to accomplish to be successful. But I wasn't sure about the impact we were making or the legacy we wanted to leave. The truth is, I felt a little scattered. I was chasing everything and catching nothing, or so it seemed to me. And you know what the worst part was? I was exhausting myself trying to live up to everyone else's definition of success, while having no clarity about what success really meant to me. If you're wondering why I'm sharing this with you, here's why. That moment of overwhelming frustration became my wake-up call. And today, I want to share what I wish someone had told me back then about creating a vision that actually means something. Let's talk about why vision matters. And I'm not talking about those fluffy vision board parties where you clip pictures of beach houses and sports cars. And believe me, I'm a big fan of those parties. But here's the thing. Real vision goes so much deeper than that. I see so many talented people, just like my younger self, sprinting on what I call the hamster wheel of hustle. And I'm sure you know all about that. They're busy, they're working hard, but they're not really going anywhere meaningful. Why? Because they're confusing motion with progress. Here's something fascinating. According to research by Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor at Dominican University of California, you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals just by writing them down. But here's the kicker. Vision goes beyond goals. Goals are the what? Vision is the why. Goals are the destination. Vision is the GPS system that gets you there. Think about that for a second. How many times have you achieved a goal only to feel empty? Maybe it was that promotion you worked so hard for, or that salary milestone you finally hit. The achievement felt good for about a week, and then nothing. That's because you reached a destination without having a deeper vision guiding you. Let me give you a real-world example. Think about Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. Her initial goal might have been to create a better undergarment, but her vision was to help women feel confident and comfortable in their own skin. That vision transformed a simple product into a billion-dollar empire. Now, I'm not saying you need to build a billion-dollar company, but I'm saying this. When you have a clear vision, 3 powerful things happen. First, decision-making becomes easier. Every choice becomes a simple yes or no question. Does this align with my vision? Second, setbacks become temporary. When you know your why, obstacles become challenges to overcome rather than reasons to quit. And third, and this is the big one, you start attracting opportunities and people that align with your vision. It's almost like the universe is conspiring to help you when you're crystal clear about where you're heading. But here's what nobody tells you about vision. It's not about predicting the future. It's about creating it. It's about having the courage to say, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And this is the impact I want to have. So when I talk about vision, I'm talking about something that makes your heart race and your palms just a little sweaty. Something that's bigger than your current circumstances. Something that pulls you forward even when things get tough. You know what's fascinating about building anything meaningful? Whether it's a skyscraper, a business, or a life well lived, it always starts with a strong foundation. That's why I want to introduce you to what I call the 3 pillars framework. These 3 pillars of personal vision are about building a strong foundation. So grab a pen and paper because this is where we turn inspiration into action. The first pillar is professional legacy. Now, I can imagine you're thinking, oh, great, another conversation about career goals. But hang on, this is different. This isn't about chasing titles or padding your LinkedIn profile. This is about answering the question that keeps successful people up at night. What do I want to be known for? Let me share another personal story. Early in my career, I thought legacy was about climbing the leadership ladder. But then I met Maxine, who was a middle manager at the University of Stellenbosch at the time. She never made it to senior leadership, but 20 years later, dozens of successful leaders and graduates in South Africa credit her as their mentor. That, my friend, is legacy. Think about it this way. If someone were to write a brief description of your career impact 10 years from now, what would you want it to say? Are you the innovator who transformed your industry, the mentor who developed future leaders, the problem solver who made the impossible possible? Here's a little exercise to get you going. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you're at a retirement celebration, yours. People are standing up to speak about your impact. What are they saying? What stories are they telling? What difference did you make? Okay, here is the second pillar, and it's called personal growth. And this is where many people get stuck. They focus so much on what they want to achieve that they forget who they need to become to achieve it. And here's one way of thinking about it. If your vision is to climb Mount Everest, for example, you need more than just good gear. You need to become the kind of person who can climb Everest. You need the endurance, the mindset, the resilience. This isn't just about adding more lines to your resume. It's about your complete evolution as a person. Let me give you an example. I worked with a client, Michael, who wanted to lead the product team at his company, but he realized his vision required him to become not simply a better programmer, but a better listener, a more effective communicator, and someone who could inspire others. So ask yourself the following questions. What skills do you need to develop? What habits do you need to build? What mindsets do you need to adopt? And finally, what fears do you need to face? Maybe you need to become more resilient in the face of setbacks. Maybe you need to learn to delegate instead of controlling everything. Maybe you need to develop the courage to speak up in meetings or the wisdom to listen more than you speak. Get really clear and write that down so you can come back to it later. Now we come to the final pillar, and this is where many vision setting exercises fall short. Community impact. This pillar answers the question, how will your success create ripples of positive change? I've seen this pattern repeat itself countless times. When people focus solely on personal or professional success without considering community impact, something always feels missing. But when they connect their success to serving others, everything shifts. The world becomes more meaningful, teams become more engaged, and most importantly, that deeper sense of fulfillment finally clicks into place. This pillar is crucial because true fulfillment comes from contribution. It's about understanding how your personal and professional growth can benefit others. Maybe it's through mentoring the next generation. Maybe it's through creating jobs in your community. Maybe it's through solving problems that matter, that make a difference. Think about your unique gifts, your experiences, even your struggles. How can they serve others? How can your journey light the way for someone else? This is where we get practical. I want you to take out that pen and paper if you haven't done so already. Yep, right now, even if you're driving, make a mental note to come back to this later. We're going to do a quick exercise that will bring these pillars to life for you. Write down your initial thoughts on each pillar. 1, what do you want your professional legacy to be? What impact do you want to have in your field? 2, who do you need to become to achieve that legacy? What growth do you need to embrace? And finally, number 3, how will your success create positive change in your community? Who will benefit from your journey? Take a moment now, maybe 60 seconds, to jot down whatever comes to mind for you. These pillars aren't separate entities. They're interconnected parts of a powerful whole. When they align, that's when magic happens. That's when your vision becomes not just possible, but inevitable. The beauty of these 3 pillars is that they work together to create something greater than the sum of their parts. Your professional legacy feeds into your personal growth, which in turn enhances your ability to impact your community. It's this beautiful cycle that builds momentum over time. Remember, this isn't about getting it perfect. It's about getting it started. Your vision will evolve as you do, and that's exactly how it should be. Now that you have your initial thoughts, let's talk about how to turn them into reality. This is what I call the vision architecture framework. Think of it as your practical roadmap for turning those pillars into reality. And this framework consists of 5 steps. Step 1, values identification. Step 2, current reality assessment. Step 3, future state visualization. Step 4, we focus on gap analysis. And the last step, step 5, priority setting. So let's start with step 1, values identification. This is your foundation, your core values. These are your non-negotiables, your internal compass. For me, they are authenticity, growth, and impact. Everything I do must align with these values. Think about times when you felt most alive, most proud, most fulfilled. What values were you honoring in those moments? These aren't simply pretty words for your wall, they are decision-making tools. When you are clear on your values, decisions become simpler and easier to make. Every choice becomes a question of alignment. So ask yourself, what principles do you refuse to compromise on? What makes you feel most aligned and authentic? What values, if violated, would make success feel hollow? And that's your step 1. Moving on to step 2. Now comes that part that requires real courage. Assessing your current reality. Think of it as taking a snapshot of where you are right now. No judgment, no criticism, simply honest observation. Here's what makes this step powerful. You can't create an effective roadmap if you don't know your starting point. Imagine trying to use your GPS without knowing where you currently are. Impossible, right? So take inventory of your strengths. What natural talents and developed skills do you have? Your resources. What connections, tools, and assets are available to you? Your constraints. What limitations or challenges are you working with? And finally, your energy drivers. What fills you up? What drains you? Remember, this isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. Write down your thoughts on your strengths, resources, constraints, and energy drivers before moving on to step 3, future state visualization, because this is where it gets exciting. We're going to travel to January 2026. But we're not just thinking about it. We are going to live it in our minds with such clarity that it feels real. So close your eyes for a moment. Imagine it's the first Tuesday of January 2026. What time are you waking up? What's the first thing you do? Who's around you? What kind of work are you diving into? Who are you impacting? And what problems are you solving? Be specific. The more detailed your vision, the more real it becomes. What does success smell like, sound like, feel like? Paint that picture in as much vivid detail as you possibly can. Got it? Good. Let's move on to step 4, gap analysis. Because now comes the strategic part. We're going to look at the space between your current reality and your 2025 vision. This is where dreams meet pragmatism. Think of it like building a bridge. You need to know what skills do you need to develop, what relationships do you need to build, what resources do you need to acquire, what habits do you need to change, and finally, what mindset or mindsets do you need to change or shift. This isn't about getting overwhelmed, it's about getting organized. Every gap you identify is an opportunity for growth. Finally, based on your gap analysis, we get to step 5, where we set priorities. And here the question is, what needs to happen first? This is about being strategic, not just busy. Think of it like climbing a mountain. You don't need to know every step of the journey right now. You just need to know your next 3 moves. So here are some questions you can ask yourself. What actions will create the most momentum? What changes will have the biggest ripple effect? What foundations need to be laid first? And finally, what quick wins can help build your confidence? Remember, we're not aiming for perfection. We are aiming for progress. And here's what makes this framework powerful. It's iterative. As you move forward, you'll revisit these steps, refining and adjusting as you grow. Your vision isn't static. It's a living, breathing thing that evolves as you do. Take a moment now to jot down one action item for each step of the framework. Just one thing that resonates most strongly with you. This framework isn't just a planning tool. It's a lifestyle. It's about being intentional with every step you take toward your vision. Remember that scattered 29-year-old I mentioned at the beginning of this episode? Once I gained clarity about my vision to empower others to live their most authentic lives while building something meaningful, everything changed. Decisions became easier, opportunities became clearer, success became more meaningful. That's what I want for you. Not my vision, your unique contribution to the world, your own definition of success. As we get to the end of this episode, here's what I want you to do next. Download the Vision Board for Leaders worksheet I've created specifically for this episode. You can find the link in the show notes. It will guide you through each step we've discussed today. Share your one-word vision for 2025 using hashtag Vision 2025 and tagging me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Grab my links at the end of the show notes. Let's create a community of visionaries supporting each other. And then finally, come back next week where we'll be diving into how to align your daily actions with your bigger vision. We'll get practical about time management, decision-making, and daily habits that support your vision. Remember, your 2025 story is being written today. Make sure you are holding the pen. Your vision isn't just about you, it's about the impact you can have, the lives you can touch, and the legacy you can leave. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, I have 2 asks. First, subscribe to Communicate to Lead. Hit that follow button and make sure you don't miss my upcoming episodes. Second, if you found value in this episode, share it. Share with a colleague, a friend, or someone in your network who also wants to create a bold vision for their life. By sharing, you're not just helping them, you're helping create a community of more courageous, visionary leaders. Until next time, my friend, I am Keely, reminding you that great communication is the foundation of inspiring leadership. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember to communicate to lead.